All right. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. On behalf of Calvet and the California Transition Assistance Program, we would like to welcome you to the afternoon portion of the webinar in partnership with West Hills College titled Building Mental Health by Navigating the Stressors of Distance Learning. And with that, we will go ahead and get started with the presentation today, and are eager to provide you guys some more information as we progress throughout the day. So first of all, we'd like to welcome you again and kind of go over some general housekeeping items just for the presentation. We do ask that if you are not a presenter or if you're not presenting or are going to be utilizing your camera, to just keep your camera off as well as your microphone muted. That will just kind of help eliminate some of the distractions and save on bandwidth for the rest of the presenters. As far as the agenda goes today, we will be providing a CalTAP overview of California-specific veterans benefits. And then we will also have our local interagency network coordinator, Annette Waiver, from the Central Valley region to discuss some of her roles and responsibilities, as well as we are honored to have Dr. Miata Snetter with US Vets Outside of the Wire to give a wonderful presentation about how to navigate the challenges associated with distance learning and some mental health information and resources for you as well. So this is just a snapshot of how to utilize the Zoom chat feature. Again, we do ask for you to utilize this chat feature. If you do have any questions or comments, to please submit those questions to the CalTAP questions tab, as you can see in the chat function. Once we receive those questions, we can send those to the appropriate person or just answer those on the spot as needed. So we just wanted to make that information available to you. And that pretty much covers the housekeeping. So we'll go ahead and get started with CalTAP overview. My name is Derek Rose. I serve as a training coordinator for the California Transition Assistance Program. I'm a United States Navy veteran, OIF, OEF, post 9/11 veteran. I'm also was previously a student veteran. So I'm kind of familiar with the transition process, also being a student, utilizing my education benefits. So I'm kind of honored to be able to come back full circle and be able to provide this information as a CalVet training coordinator as well. So it all kind of comes full circle. So that's really cool. So let's go ahead and get started. What is the CalTAP program? Well, CalTAP is designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to their earned federal and state benefits, as well as provide information and resources as those needs change over time. You know, we don't strictly serve post 9/11 veterans or recently separated veterans. We do it to all eras because California has the highest population of veterans. So the way that we've created our program is that we've created 5 learning pathways on our CalTAP website. And you can see those pathways are core curriculum, education benefits, employment resources, entrepreneurship resources, as well as a service providers pathway. So if you are you know, providing benefits and services to veterans at the non-governmental level and you are interested in being a service provider for veterans benefits, you can navigate all of those resources as well on our CalTAP page. And we're going to show you how to find all of those resources and how to navigate those as well. So you also should have received a pre-packet email last night or even this morning that provides you some resources as well. And one of those things that's in there is a PDF copy of this book right here. This is the California Veterans Resource Book. We really encourage you to view this book at your leisure. It is basically an A to Z listing of all your veterans benefits from federal, state, local, county, non-governmental resources as well. So this book is extremely valuable. It provides so much information, and we encourage you to look at that as well. And I believe we're going to send a link through the chat feature for that book as well, so you can download it and have a copy. So this is how to get to our CalTAP page through Calvet. You go to calvet.ca.gov, and that will bring you to our main, Calvet's main screen. And you can see right down there at the bottom, the CalTAP icon, which is highlighted. So if you clicked that icon, it will bring you to the main CalTAP homepage. Could you click next slide, please? Oh, I'm sorry. That's me. Sorry about that. So if you go to our main screen, you can find all of those pathways that I mentioned earlier: core curriculum, education, employment, entrepreneurship, and service providers. We also wanted to make you aware that all of our webinar series that we've created and have especially been rolling out since the pandemic and COVID hit, you know, we haven't been able to do our in-person outreach, so it's all virtual as of right now. So we have created a whole series of webinars that cover a little bit more specifically those topics within those pathways. So we encourage you, if you have some time outside of this webinar, if you wanted to go back to our page, you can view all of those at your leisure. And we're going to have this one posted on there, as well as we're going to show you at the end a slide of all of our future upcoming webinars so that you can view those. And here's the screenshot of all of our upcoming webinars, just exactly what I mentioned. So how can you use CalTAP online? How can we get started to navigate these modules or pathways? So like I just showed you, our main page, our CalTAP pathway, if you wanted to get started, you should start with the core curriculum pathway. And core curriculum basically is Veterans Benefits 101. It covers an array of topics from discharge upgrade information, financial literacy, citizenship and naturalization resources, and of course, all of the California specific veterans benefits. So if you opened up that core curriculum, we really want to highlight module 5, because that is, for the purpose of today, what we're going to be speaking about, California specific benefits. So if you clicked on that, that'll give you another PDF lesson or a PDF version of pretty much what we're going to be discussing today. It's just a little bit more in depth, a little bit more detail, eligibility requirements for all those benefits, where to go, how to submit your application, or actually apply for anything. So similar to our Veterans Resource Book, it's just a more detailed explanation of everything that we're going to cover. So I encourage you to view those as well. And what are my California benefits? We want to know what they are, right? We mentioned them, but we want to dive a little bit deeper. So you can read all about it, of course, in the Veterans Resource Book. Like I mentioned, it's all there for you. But we will go ahead and get started. Basically, we want to start with one of our more popular veterans benefits in the state of California is the college and tuition fee waiver. That waives tuition and fees at any state-funded UC, CSU, or California Community College for dependents of service-connected disabled veterans. So if you are a veteran and you separated active duty and you have at a minimum 0% service-connected disability from Department of Veterans Affairs, your child could attend a CSU, UC, or community college tuition-free. There's no cap on the level of education. As you can see, it can potentially cover all the way through a doctorate's degree, and you can see that it saves California veterans several millions of dollars in tuition costs every year. So it's a wonderful benefit. So just be sure to check with your VA rep or your county rep to assess your eligibility in relation to a service-connected disability. Dmv Programs, we partner with Dmv on a few different programs. One of the most popular ones is the Veterans Driver's License Designation that allows you to have the word veteran printed on your driver's license. So that way you don't need to carry around your paper copy of your DD-214 for all of those wonderful veterans benefits at your Lowe's or Home Depot or Applebee's or anywhere that offers those veterans discounts. So that's just a simpler way for you to show your veteran status. The Honoring Veterans License Plate Program, that's not exclusively for veterans. Any motorist can have an Honoring Veterans license plate, but it just does allow you to personalize your license plate, and you can actually place a logo or emblem from your period of service or a certain campaign you served on. So it's just a really cool way to kind of show your appreciation for your service. And the motor vehicle registration fee waiver. That benefit is specifically reserved for 100% service connected, or if you have a significant service connected disability that impairs your mobility. So you would just have to apply through your county veteran service office, and they can make sure that you have everything to provide to the DMV in order to qualify for that benefit. Outdoor activities. California is a wonderful place for outdoor activities. If you're a disabled veteran, you could qualify for a reduced fee on your hunting and fishing licenses, as well as a no-cost use state parks pass, which allows you, like I said, no-cost use of all state park operated facilities, including camping and day usage. So that's another really cool benefit living here in the state of California as a veteran. Tax programs, there is the Disabled Veteran Property Tax Exemption. If you are, again, this benefit is solely for 100% service connected, but if you do have that rating, you can apply through your county assessor's office to where you pay your property taxes, and you could be eligible for a certain exemption amount based on the property values in that region or that county. But again, that's 100% service connected. If you wanted to sell any goods or products or services and you needed a business license to do so, you could apply through your local issuing office, whether it's a city or county, for that business license and fee waiver. And the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Program, I personally would classify this as more of an entrepreneurship resource, but that is the DVBE certification could apply to you if you are a disabled veteran business owner here in the state of California, and that certification could allow you preference on any type of government contracts here in the state. So that's a certification that you could have as a veteran business owner. Calvet Home Loans. This is another one of our great benefits that we offer. It can provide low or no down payment assistance to veterans. There are competitive interest rates right now, and it's not exclusively a first-time home buyer program, but it is just using myself as an example and as a veteran. It's a great program to use if you're looking to get into home ownership here in the state of California. I would have to defer to our wonderful home loans division at Calvet headquarters to speak to you a little bit more about your home loan eligibility and getting everything in order if you wanted to apply for a home loan. But I do encourage you to view our website or just do a simple Google search, Calvet Home Loans, if you are interested in home ownership here in the state of California, and they can give you a really great personalized process for applying for a home loan if you are interested. Our Calvet Women's Veterans Division at our headquarters building as well. It provides information, advocacy, outreach, and to support of all California women's veterans. The really cool thing about this program is that you could actually submit your name to be included in the Calvet Women's Veterans roster. And that is a great tool for networking, resources, connecting to other women veterans who may be mentors or business owners or fellow entrepreneurs to really help create that network that you're going to need as a recently separated service member, you know, because that kind of ties into the topic today of having that strong network and that strong foundation of other veterans can really be beneficial going forward in your transition process. And here's a little bit more information on our Calvet Women's Veterans program through our website. There's their contact information, resources for you as well. And the same thing with our Minority Veterans Division, advocacy, outreach, support to all California minorities veterans. We do pride ourselves on our minority veteran outreach, and one of the key components of that division is helping unnaturalized veterans in California with citizenship and naturalization resources or services. And there again is the link to some more information about how to get started, how to get in contact, if you'd like to speak to someone directly from that unit. Our Calvet Veterans Homes, we operate the state, Calvet, we operate 8 locations throughout the state of California, and you can see where those homes are located. They provide long-term care for veterans, offering medical, dental, pharmacy, rehab, social activities. These homes can provide anywhere from, come as you please, come and go, independent living, all the way through skilled nursing facilities. So, we do know that that time of need is long, long down the road. But when you do have that eligibility or you are in need, please remember that those homes are available to you for the future. State cemeteries, you may be familiar that the VA operates its national cemeteries all across the country, but Calvet, our office, we do operate 3 specifically here in the state of California. There's the Central Coast and Seaside, the one in Redding, Shasta County, and our Yountville Veterans Home Cemetery in Napa County at our Yountville Veterans Homes. So as you transition, you're probably familiar, and if not, you may be becoming familiar with some common veteran websites that you're going to encounter as you're applying for benefits and services. So we just kind of wanted to run those by you just to kind of make you familiar and make it a little bit easy for you to navigate. So obviously the main one is going to be va.gov, and you see that they've kind of created a similar portal system to our pathways with their kind of key areas, which cover healthcare, disability, records maintenance, and your education benefits. So if you wanted to file a claim for disability or track down your service records or your medical records from the service, this is going to be your starting point through va.gov. And that will also bring you to Ebenefits. Ebenefits is probably the most commonly understood portal to use for managing your veterans benefits. So anything that you are in receipt of, whether it's your GI Bill payments, disability compensation, VOC rehab eligibility, certificate of eligibility for a home loan, you can download and print all of that information through Ebenefits. Like I said, it's a great way to manage your benefits. I would not recommend applying for benefits through Ebenefits, simply because we always recommend just working with an accredited veteran service representative to do all of that stuff for you, so to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. But like I said, you can apply for all of your benefits on Ebenefits, but please just do your due diligence to making sure that you're doing everything properly and that you're being represented by the VA, by someone who's accredited. So just wanted to provide that personal information for you. So another great tool is My Health eVet, and that is a great way to manage all of your healthcare needs. If you wanted to refill your prescriptions, schedule an appointment, message your primary care physician at the VA, have a copy of your medical records, you can do all of that through My Health eVet. And that pretty much covers the general CalTAP overview. If you have any more specific questions about anything I mentioned, please feel free to reach out via email or phone call. Again, my name is Derek Rose, and I'd be happy to connect with you a little bit more if you have any more questions. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Annette, who is our link out of the Central Valley, and she's going to speak to you a little bit more about what she does in her region and in her area. So with that, Annette, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Derek. Yes, I am a link. I prefer that. That's a big mouthful, that title, but basically what I am is I'm a field rep for the state of California covering a specific counties. Next slide, please. So you'll see on this map that Calvet has divided the state into 8 regions, and they're color coordinated with the region and a coordinating link. So the 8 of us work within our counties to develop resources. We work with federal, state, local, veteran service organizations to build resources and a network of agencies that will assist veterans. I cover, I'm the one in the purple, the middle, Stanislaus, Kern counties, and it's, I work with about 144,000 veterans are in my communities. And we all, even though we links work independently within our counties, we also work collectively and assist each other if we get calls from other resources, which you'll find out later. We are advocates and a resource for veterans, and we work very closely with county veteran service organizations. Our mission is to assist veterans. Next slide, please. So we carry out the Calvet mission of locating, educating, assessing, and assisting veterans and referring them to direct resources. And we do this, we want to ensure that veterans are aware of the benefits recording education, employment, housing, and healthcare. And we assist with local emergencies. Currently, we have a lot of wildfires going on in the state of California. And when this happens throughout the state, there are LACs that have opened up local assistance centers for the evacuees. Here in Fresno County, we have one, and I'm ensuring that they have the information that they need, documentation. We assist veterans if they need paperwork replaced. In fact, I'm working with a veteran right now who DD 214 and military paperwork were destroyed in the fire, and we're trying to get some of those records back because she needs to process some additional paperwork. We assist them with food and shelter, any resources they need in the community, and then if they have a Calvet home loan, we can assist them with that paperwork as well. One of the other things that we're doing as the links, since most government agencies are telecommuting, we are fielding the calls that normally go to the 1-800 number in headquarters. And these come from all over the state of California. And so I never know where I'm going to get a call from. So when I get a call, it could be from Klamath Falls or it could be from LA. I know my state and federal resources. And if I need additional resources that are more specialized or specific, I can contact the coordinating link in their county. And since they're the subject matter experts, and get information on the resources that they need. And then we also provide leadership and advocacy to local communities. And we do this by constantly staying in touch, whether by outreach or, as we call it now, in-reach. We work with collaboratives and the other veterans committees to ensure that they are aware of the benefits and if there's any changes or updates to benefits as they come to the California State Veterans. Next slide, please. So we want to get you connected to your benefits. That's my mission, and it's very dear to my heart because I'm a latecomer to this. I'm a United States Army veteran. I served from 1975 to 1978, and I used my GI Bill, and I got my VA home loan. But it wasn't until 11 years ago when I started working for the state of California that I could file for compensation. So I'm now I have a service-connected disability. I didn't know I could enroll in VA healthcare. I'm now enrolled in VA healthcare, best healthcare I've ever had. So the agencies on this page are the agencies that we work very closely with as Calvet links, but also agencies that I have used as a veteran. So if you're looking for employment and training, there's the Employment Development Department. They have dedicated staff, veteran representatives that are ran through DOL vets that work exclusively with veterans to assist them with employment, whether it's resume writing, interview skills, referrals to jobs, or even directly connecting them with employers. That's what the EDD vet staff do. And these staff typically are co-located in the America's Job Centers of California. So if you need to find one, go into careeronestop.org and you can find where the AJCC is and if they have a vet rep available. You can file for unemployment, disability, paid family leave. These lobbies are closed to the public, but if you call and make an appointment, they have facilities there with printers. You can use their computers to either job search, brush up on your resume, look at their job boards. And if you are collecting unemployment, then they can also advise you about any training opportunities that might be available to you at no cost. And you can utilize these while you're collecting your unemployment benefits. So take advantage of these facilities. The California state benefits, that's what Calvet is all about. Even though there's sort of an augmentation of federal and state benefits, we understand how they work. And the County Veteran Service Office, like the other entities on this page, are the boots on the ground. These are the ones who get the job done. So they administer the state and federal benefits for veterans, whether it's compensation and pension, what is the claim of your status, your DMV paperwork, college tuition fee waiver. They, once again, their lobbies are closed, but if you call them, they can make an appointment with you, meet on one-on-one if necessary, but they can also conduct business online and over the phone. They're still conducting business, but in an unusual way. Healthcare, during this time, we make sure that we do not ignore our healthcare. The VA medical centers and CBOCs or clinics and the vet centers, their lobbies are also closed, but they're seeing patients on a critical and urgent care basis. If you want to apply for healthcare benefits, you can either go online and apply, or you can actually call one of the facilities and they can do it over the phone. Many of their appointments they are doing through telehealth or VA Connect. I've had several appointments that way. I really like it. A very effective way to get things done and minimize going out into out in the open. And then also I use my My Healthy Vet order medication. It sends me an email saying it's ordered and I get it in the mail a few days later. So these are great benefits. It's never too late to connect. Take advantage of them. Next slide, please. So if you don't remember anything else, just remember this is my phone number and my email address. Be more than happy to assist you with any questions that you might have. I'm always available. I want to thank you all for your service and thank you for letting me speak to you this afternoon. Have a great day.
Great. Thank you so much, Annette. Really appreciate all the information. Okay, so now I'm honored to turn it over to Dr. Miata Snetter, who's a licensed clinical psychologist with US Vets and the Outside of the Wire program. We just want to welcome her and thank you for her time. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Snetter. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Derek. And I'd like to say thank you to CalVets and to everyone who is on, who's taken the time out of their schedules, whether work schedules or academic schedules or mommy, daddy schedules, whatever it may be, in order to join us. And I hope that this presentation is really, really very helpful. So I never take for granted the opportunity to share, in particular with the student veteran community. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, as Derek mentioned, and I have been working with the veteran community now. Just want to make sure, however, Derek, can you hear me? Everything okay? Able to hear me?
Loud and clear, Dr. Snetter.
Wonderful, thank you. So I've been working with the veteran community now for about 16 years, and I absolutely love working with veterans. And now that I found myself working with student veterans in particular, this is even more of a delight because I get to kind of help facilitate the process of transitioning, academic matriculation, family, reintegration and things of that nature earlier on. And so US Vets, the Outside the Wire program, which is a program that I'm the Director of Clinical Services for, provides free mental health and case management, free and confidential, I should also add, mental health and case management services to student veterans, but not only student veterans, but also your family members as well. And our goal and objective is to help your transition, to help provide that support that's necessary. And I can tell you this, the older generation with whom I've worked for many, 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 many years would love to have had the kinds of services and resources that the OEF, OIF, recent veterans, combat, non-combat alike have. And so I want to really strongly encourage you to take advantage of all of the services that have already been shared by Annette and that Derek and his team with CalVets has to offer to you. That being said, this afternoon I'm really focusing on navigating the stressors of distance learning, however, emphasizing embracing the changes and excelling. And that is so important because my objective is to acknowledge the fact that even though these are changes and challenges, this whole virtual world are challenges that you may not be comfortable with, you can still excel. So we can go on to the next slide, please. So there are three main objectives that I'd like to focus on. Number one, acknowledging the chronic virtual fatigue. So we understand that we've been in this for now 6 months, so it's not like it's brand new. All of the challenges, difficulties, sometimes, and even earlier, this week I had some difficulties and challenges even with my own connectivity. So if you happen to encounter any connectivity difficulties or challenges, bear with us, stay connected, don't go anywhere. Technology is unpredictable. We have no way of predicting what's going to happen from moment to moment. And that can become exhausting. It can be tiresome to look at this rectangular screen for hours on end while you're learning calculus and physics and all these complicated classes, engineering and things of the sort. So the second objective is to really embrace the awareness that these are universal experiences. So the universality of the challenges that we're all facing, you are not alone. Whether you are a professor, a teacher, an educator, this afternoon I'm focusing on the student veteran community and population, you're not alone in what you're experiencing. I talk to a lot of veterans who are clients of mine, and one of the things they share is, Dr. Snyder, my strength is face-to-face. I really don't like this virtual world. I feel very uncomfortable with it, and I'm feeling unprepared for these really difficult classes that I thought I was doing really well in before the pandemic, and now I'm finding that I have to find another way of studying, preparing, taking tests, participating in the lectures, all of those kinds of things. So you're not alone, and I'm going to talk more about why that's important to acknowledge. And then thirdly, we're going to move towards the steps towards excelling, academic success. Again, that's what the objective of this presentation is. And so as we move on to the next slide, I want to give you some time to think. So this is not going to be a passive presentation where you just sit back, relax, and you do nothing and you kind of take it all in. That's half of it. But the other half is I want to encourage you all to, at West Hills, to really, and other schools alike, other student veterans from other colleges, to really think about placing yourself in this presentation. Meaning asking yourself, how does that relate to me? How does that fit with my experience? And how can I then implement and utilize some of the tools and strategies that I'm going to be hearing and that I'm going to be sharing with you this afternoon? Very, very important. Active listening, active participation. Even though I can't see you, I'm used to face-to-face myself. That's my strength. However, we're doing what we're able to do at this time in order to convey and relay information that I think and we think is going to be very helpful. So for the next 30 seconds, I want to encourage you. We can go back to the next slide. Back one more. We're going to go back to the excelling, that slide. So I want to encourage you for the next, perfect, thank you, Derek, the next few 60 seconds to identify for yourself, what does success look like for me? Meaning, does it look like me acing that test or that class? Does it look like me graduating at the end of the semester? Does it look like me staying afloat until we can go back to face-to-face? Does it look like me reaching out to my professors? I want you to be specific in identifying what does excelling look like for you in this situation. So only because we're recording this, I'm not going to pause for 60 seconds. However, I want you to be thinking for the next 60 seconds about what that means for you. Take out a piece of paper, take out a pen, pencil, and write that down. And that's one of the things that I'm going to encourage you to do as we're moving forward. Next slide, please, Derek. So virtual fatigue. What is that all about? Well, it means that this is a violation, frankly, of the normal, typical educational design. When we think about higher learning, academia, we don't think about sitting behind a screen. No, we think about being in a classroom, sharing the space, sharing the energy, the laughter, or conversations, dialogue, discussions, exchanges of ideas within the same room with your your other classmates. We think about talking to your professors. We think about interacting with the learning process. And right now, there's been a major interruption. We think about this time, the virtual education being passive learning, meaning for some student veterans, they don't feel as comfortable raising their hand. They don't feel as comfortable engaging because they've got their kids running around. They've got their dogs and cats and other things that are distracting them. They've got the mailman that's knocking on the door, all these various distractions that are taking place, which means that learning exchange tends to be a little bit more passive. You're sitting back, you're not as engaged, and that's one of the realities. More isolated, the technology interferences when they happen. And then if that's not enough, having to also focus on your children, making sure that they stay on task and that they're not falling behind in this virtual world as we're planning and preparing to allow children to go back to school. Some places are starting to do that this week, as a matter of fact. But all of that to say, there's a lot of multitasking, mental multitasking that's taking place right now. Next slide, please. So it's almost 24 hours a day you're thinking about paying bills, passing that class, doing well, long-term career goals, graduation, children's graduation, helping your children in this distance learning format as well. So acknowledging first that this new environment is impacting everyone in a very different way. And perhaps it's creating that exhaustion that I talked about. Perhaps it's creating some stress. Nothing wrong with acknowledging that. Nothing wrong with saying, oh, I'm exhausted with this environment. And then that's going to help to move you towards the steps that we're going to talk about even as we continue to move forward in this presentation. So just acknowledging that, yeah, this is difficult for some people. Some of you, again, are thriving. That's okay. But some of you really missed that face-to-face in the same room with your professor and other students environment. And if that's the case for you, I just want you to acknowledge it, embrace it as a truth and the reality, because that's what's going to be what's going to be used to build us towards moving towards the steps that we're going to take. So this universality of these experiences, next slide please, Derek, really means that if you already have anxiety or depression, if you're already experiencing exhaustion because of other life events, that the last 6 months may really be pressing you in a very different way. You know, I found myself at the end of the day sometimes after sitting hours on end, Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting, that my bottom hurt. So I decided I'm going to stand in this presentation. I'm going to do something different. And as I do that, I'm also going to encourage you at this time to do something right along with me. Again, this is not a passive webinar. This is an active webinar. So as we're looking at the universality of these experiences, I'm going to ask you, if you're seated right now, if you're in your kitchen, at the kitchen table, in your bedroom, office, wherever you are, to stand up with me right now. So I want you to stand up. Absolutely, I want you to stand up. I can't see you, but there's an honor code. And we're going to do a deep breathing exercise with me right now. We're going to do a little bit of stretching as well. So right now, take a deep breath in through your nose. Inhale in through your nose. Inhale. And then exhale slowly out through your mouth. Beautiful. One more time. Deep breath in through your nose. Inhale like you mean it. Fill those lungs. Inhale. And then exhale slowly out through your mouth. Now your son or daughter, wife, husband might be looking at you like, what on earth are you doing? Tell them to come on and join you for this third final time. Deep breath in through your nose. Inhale. And then exhale slowly out through your mouth. Good. And then return to your regular breathing pattern. Every now and then, as we are navigating the stressors of this distance learning, you might have to take a stand. You might have to take some stretches. You might have to do something a little bit different in order to keep you engaged in the learning. So now let's stretch. Lift your arms, your right hand, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your fingers. Now join your left hand, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your fingers. Wiggle them both at the same time. Now bring them down slowly. Rotate your shoulders back, rotate them back. rotate them back. Now let's go forward, rotate them forward, rotate them forward. I hope you're doing this right along with me. Rotate them forward. Beautiful. Now last final deep breath in through your nose. Inhale and exhale out through your mouth. Wonderful. And as you're returning to your regular breathing pattern, take a seat. Now you're ready for the rest of the presentation. So this universality of the experiences that we're all facing means that certain levels of stress, and stress is really how life events and things impact your mental and physical and emotional well-being. And the key becomes, what do I do? What steps do I take in order to help facilitate my process and move me towards excelling? So anxiety, all these various things. Some of you might notice that you're becoming more irritable, more angry. I want you to observe substance use for those of you who have noticed that you're drinking a little bit more. This is not about criticizing yourself and saying, shame on me, bad me. Instead, acknowledging, all right, this is really impacting me. Now I need to have my eye on it, pay attention to it so that I can take the steps that we're going to talk about now moving forward. Next slide. So we're embracing what's taking place. We're accepting that there are certain things, certain realities right now that we can't change. You're saying that classes in room may not return until 2021. That's the likelihood. And we don't know what that's going to look like. I propose that the new normal is going to be just that, a new and a unique and a different kind of normal. We're wearing masks, physically distanced, all these various kinds of things that have been implemented. So embracing and accepting, I can handle this. I may not like it. I may not want it to be the case, but I can handle it. So that's embracing the change. And now we're going to move towards, how do I use this in order to excel? So I like to present it this way. Many times as I'm working with the student veteran, the clients that I have, I address the mental process. And the reason that I start there many times is because our thoughts, if we can agree, think about this, our thoughts impact how we feel. And then our feelings then impact the actions and behaviors that we engage in. And those actions and behaviors will then have consequences, positive or negative consequences, depending on whether or not we reacted or depending on whether or not we responded with thoughtful contemplation and we thought about what we're going to do. So that being said, next slide, please, Derek. I want us to think about this next idea in terms of not right or wrong, good, bad. I don't want you to be so judgmental or critical of yourself, meaning, is it right for me to think like this? Is it wrong for me to be irritated with mask wearing? Is it right for me to say, I don't like this virtual learning? Is it wrong for me to say that I don't want to do this or that right now because I'm exhausted and tired? Is it right, as opposed to the judgments of right, wrong, good, bad? I want to present another idea as an alternative. And that is, does it work for me? And here's how you know if it works. If I think about it in a certain way, and I walk away feeling more sad, more irritated, more depressed, more down, less energetic, less, empowered, that's not likely working. Now, I'm not suggesting that you lie to yourself. Instead, I'm suggesting that we contemplate another way of viewing and embracing the things that are happening. Here's an example. So if your mindset is this, next line, please, Derek. If your line says this virtual bullcrap it sucks. Pardon the language, but you know where I'm going. This virtual bullcrap, it sucks. I don't like it, don't want to be here. That might be true. And I'm not suggesting that you dismiss that thought. I'm suggesting that you learn from it. And perhaps as an alternative, we try this. Derek, next line, please. As opposed to it sucks, well, let's acknowledge it's difficult. Yes, it's difficult, but what? But I've been through difficult times before and I got through them. Roger that. I've been through hard times before, got through it. I got through boot camp. Didn't think I ever was going to. Now, I'm not a veteran, so I'm just kind of thinking about, what you might be thinking and how that alternative might look and sound. Again, I've been working with veterans for a long time, but I'm not a veteran, and I want to make that clear, so I'm not presenting myself as anything other than. So it's difficult, but I got through boot camp, and I didn't think I could ever get through boot camp. I got through AIT training. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do that. I've been through some difficult times before. Yeah, this technology is a different kind of difficult, but I have the ability to get through it. I want to suggest that. Here's another thought. Next line, please, Derek. Everything that I've worked so hard for, going downhill. I was making an A in this class, and now I'm struggling because of this virtual world. I was doing so well, I was going to get a 4.0 at graduation. Now it's kind of a little bit shaky. And I want to propose and suggest this. Next line. Failure is not an option. And I know for many of you as veterans, student veterans, that's something that you're already kind of used to as a cultural mindset. So I want to give this caveat. It's not that you have to be Captain America, not that you have to be perfect. Instead, failure is not an option, recognizing that I do have the wherewithal, I have the ability. What I need to do is figure out what steps I need to take. So I'm not suggesting that you put pressure on yourself. Failure is not an option. I can't do it. I can't not fail. I can't. Instead, failure is not an option where I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to reach out to my professors. I'm going to email them this week if I have to figure out what are the best skills in order to learn and pass this class well. I'm going to give you some of those tools as we continue to move on. But if this works for you, not right, wrong, good, bad, does it work for me? Look at the outcome. Look at how it impacts you. And then you can determine that, yes, this works for me. And ultimately, all of these internal dialogues will lead us to knowing this. Last line. And that is, I know that I can use this experience in my future. Meaning, I'm going to be able to reflect on this time in 2020 when I didn't like the virtual learning and I didn't think I was ever going to get it. I didn't think I was ever going to graduate. And a year from now, after you graduated, or 2 years from now, after you graduated, you'll be able to look on this time and say, I did that then. I can push forward and do it now. So I'm suggesting that you be aware of that mental processing, those thought processes that might not be working, so that we can make those adjustments. Now we're going to talk about how to more keenly make those adjustments. Next slide. So I like to present to many times the veterans that I work with, and sometimes in a group format, way back when. It seems like it was 5 years ago when we were actually in the on the campuses in the Veterans Resource Center, because my program actually functions on the community college campuses. We're in the Veterans Resource Centers with student veterans. We're interacting and sometimes, you know, laughing, and they're watching TV. And so there's a real relationship that's developed. I miss it. Gonna be honest with you. It's difficult not to be with the veterans on the college campuses that we provide these free confidential services to. However, here's another platform. We're going to make it work. So life balance really suggests 6 areas of the universal human experience that I really want to bring to your attention. Universally, we all experience it. Doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your ethnicity, doesn't matter your age, combat, non-combat, doesn't matter. We all have these 6 areas that I want to encourage you to begin being aware of and nurturing in a very particular and decided way. We all have a mind. We know that our mind helps us to make sense of the world. Sometimes we have enough information or sufficient information to come up with a good conclusion. Sometimes we don't, but we still make conclusions. So sometimes it doesn't work. Emotions, we all feel mad, glad, angry, happy, excited, delighted, thrilled. All of these are feelings or emotions. And I want to suggest to you that emotions are not there to do you harm. They don't harm you. They're there to give you information. Even anger. A lot of veterans don't feel comfortable with anger because it looks a certain way. But because you feel anger doesn't mean that it has to be manifest in a certain way. It means anger can inform you. I'm angry because that person disrespected me. I'm angry because my expectations weren't met and I thought it should have been. Your anger might be very valid. But what do I do with it? That becomes what's key. So I want to encourage you to think about emotions and feelings not as a bad thing, even though the military didn't necessarily train you to embrace all of the feelings, but to now start thinking about my feelings are human. And they're there to help me to get through difficulties because they inform me of what might be taking place. And then we have a sense of spirituality. That does not mean religion. Spirituality can be stargazing at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night. You go outside and you look at the sky, you look at the stars and the moon, and you're just in pure wonderment or amazement, or gratitude, an attitude of gratefulness. Helping someone else, sometimes helping someone else, extending that help to another person helps you to feel a spiritual connection to the world and whatever you believe. And if you are religious, nothing wrong with that either. I just want to expand your view of what spirituality is. Physiology, your social relations, actions and behaviors. Here's an example of your actions and behaviors. Today, you're on this Zoom. You didn't have to be here. Nobody forced you to be here, but that's an action that you took, a behavior, because you felt like, I think this is going to help me. So as you are navigating the stressors of this, distance learning and moving towards excelling, I want you to be aware that I need to nurture these areas of my life. I need to pay attention. What are my feelings telling me? How am I feeling right now? Oh, I've been seated for like 5 hours. I need to get up. I need to stretch because I've been doing this calculus and working on this physics for the last 3 hours. I need to take a drink of water. I need to hydrate myself. I need to call my grandma or my granddad just to stay connected and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. That's the social and relational. Just thinking about you. Can't talk long because I'm studying right now. I've got a final examination that's coming up, but I just want you to know I'm thinking about you and I love you, and send prayers or thoughts or whatever to your granddaughter or grandson because I really need it. Whatever it is that resonates with you, you do it. So those are the 6 areas that I want you to think about and write them down right now. Pull out that piece of paper again and that pen. Write down these areas because we're going to come back to it in about 2 more slides. Next slide. So how do we identify or connect with which one of those 6 areas that we need to nurture? It may be that you haven't nurtured your own physical well-being. You haven't eaten lunch and you recognize that it's almost 4 o'clock and you didn't eat breakfast and you didn't eat lunch because you were so busy and on the go. I want you to think about, how can I utilize this information in order to make the changes that I'm going to suggest? But awareness is key. So now I want to encourage you to consider 4 steps which happen to help facilitate mental and emotional flexibility. I call it COPE. And actually, to be very honest, one of my previous supervisors many years ago, Dr. Lori Katz, introduced me to this. I extrapolated, added a few things, but I always want to give credit. Dr. Lori Katz was a supervisor a long time ago, and I want to give her credit for that. So COPE is an idea that helps you to take a step-by-step, very meticulous process towards self-awareness and knowing which one of those 6 areas do I need to nurture. First, cleansing breath, like we did early on in this presentation. In through your nose, exhale out through your mouth. Helps you to ground, helps you to be more mindful. You're getting ready to take this final examination. You've been studying for the last 3 hours and it doesn't seem like anything is sinking in. You may need to step away for a moment. Take a little bit of a break. Or you may recognize, I don't know enough. I need to email my professor and find out, are there any last minute suggestions that you can offer before I take this final examination? Or you might be the best person positioned to start a virtual study group. Study groups are phenomenal. Cleansing breath helps you to be mindful, to ground yourself. Second, observe my feelings. Feeling a little anxious. Well, if you're getting ready to take a final examination in the next week or 2, we can see why you might be feeling a little anxious. Be specific, because again, your feelings give you information. They're not there to hurt you or harm you. Third, positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is not just nicey talk. Oh, I love this virtual world. It's so great. No, that's lying to yourself if it's not true for you. Instead, positive self-talk says this, this is hard for me. It is difficult, but remember that slide? I've been through difficult times before. I got through last year academically. I'm going to do well. Everybody else is going through the same thing that I'm going through. My teacher, my professor is going to understand it. If I reach out, I can get through that. This is positive self-talk, kind of like you're your own best friend. Your own best friend is always going to be cheering you on, but they're also going to be honest with you. And then lastly, explanation. What does that mean? Well, it means make it all make sense. How does that happen? Well, you think about, have we ever been in a coronavirus pandemic where everyone was shut in their houses and having to take classes and go to work virtually? Have we ever? No, not during our lifetime. So that means make it make sense. Yeah, it makes sense that this might be a little difficult. I've never been here before. Even though 6 months in, this is still difficult. This is still different. I'm going to navigate it, but this is different. And I've got to be willing to acknowledge that. So now, if we go on to the next slide, please, Derek, I want to bring back to mind that diagram with that, with the 6 areas of the human experience across the universal experience, human experience. And this is now what I want to encourage you to do. Now you know how to cope in case of those moments when you're feeling a little tweaked, feeling a little anxious, a little irritable. You can cope, C-O-P-E. But now let's revisit those 6 areas. And I'm going to give you 6 seconds to identify one of these 6 areas and to write on that same piece of paper one action that I'm going to start implementing between now and next week that will help me to navigate some of the stress. So again, as an example, physiology, your heart might be racing because you've got this final examination. Emotions, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling afraid, you're feeling trepidatious. That's what the information is that's coming in. And then you take a certain kind of action. You decide to study one more time. You decide to reach out to a classmate because you said, hey, can I have your phone number? Because I might want us to study together because studying together helps me or something. So now I want you in the next 6 seconds to think about selecting one of these 6 areas and write down, this is what I'm going to do. Me, myself. Now I'm talking to you as a student. And so for the next 6 seconds, I'm going to be silent because I want you to actually write out what you're going to do in one of these areas. So I'm going to be silent starting now. Beautiful. 6 seconds. Amazing. So now that you've done that, I want to now encourage you, between now and next week, you're going to fill out those other 5 that you didn't get to identify. I just wanted to get you started, jumpstart you. What might I do for my physiology or my behavior and action? Maybe you take a warm bubble bath at the end of the day. Maybe you take a sip of hot tea if that's your thing, or coffee if that's your thing. Do something that's going to help you to regulate again. Maybe it means aromatherapy. A lot of us like the smell of eucalyptus or lavender or tea tree or something. Plan it out. Write it out. I see that chat. Thank you so much. I'm glad that this is helpful. Plan it out. Take some actions. Spiritual, it may be that you just, again, you go outside at 10 o'clock and you say, things aren't exactly what I want them to be, but I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful that I don't have coronavirus, that my family is healthy and whole. And yeah, I'd like to be able to go to the grocery store without wearing a mask, but that's a small price to pay if we can get through this time as a community or a family or what have you. You identify between now and next week what you're going to do to help you to continue to navigate. Next slide, please. Now, as we get ready to kind of move towards the end, these are ideas, these are suggestions, because I know some of you might be thinking, nothing came to mind. I don't know what to do. I can't think of anything. Well, here are some suggestions for you, because the point is, I want you to take some actions. I want you to do this throughout this next semester. It's going to help you. So, ideas and suggestions. I already talked about the first 2. Let's go straight to the 3rd one. Everyone is going through the same things. Tell yourself that. Is it true? Yes. Am I lying to you? No. Therefore, you're not going to be lying to yourself to remind yourself. Let's go to the 4th one. I still get one life to live, so I'm going to live it well. So some of us might be on hold these 6 months. I'm going to wait until this. I'm going to wait until we're back in class. I'm going to wait until I can go back to work. No, this is your life. This is precious time. These last 6 months are not going to come back to you. Take advantage every single day of the time and the moment that you have. So remind yourself, no, I'm going to live this moment. I'm going to go outside with my children. We're going to exercise together like what I taught you at the very beginning. We're going to do this together. You don't have to have it all figured out. It means you take action, you give it a try. Emotions. How am I doing right now? How am I feeling? I'm exhausted. All right, take the action. How am I feeling? I'm feeling hopeful. Good. Keep it up. Physiology. Stretch like we did. Take a walk. Those are examples. Take mindfulness breaths. Mindful breaths, meaning I'm aware that I'm taking a mindful breath right now. Those are some suggestions. You're going to come up with your own, but those are just suggestions. Next slide, please. So now we can move into that social idea. Socially, again, I mentioned earlier, reaching out. I'm going to tell you this. thinking about someone else, especially when we're going through a hard time, reaching out to that auntie who might be disabled, or reaching out to, again, to grandma or granddad, or someone, to a friend that you know is having a hard time, especially as veterans. Veterans oftentimes don't connect naturally because, again, you got to man up. Even women have to man up in the military. That's cultural. So it might be that you pick the phone up and you call your brother and your sister at arms and you say, hey, I'm just checking on you. Just want to know everything is okay. You're good. You're all right. You understand how to do it. Once you pick the phone up, you make that call, let them know I'm thinking about you. I care about you. You'll be happy if someone did it for you. So if you would be happy that someone did it for you, then why can't you do it for someone else? And you'll walk away feeling so much better. Actions, we've already talked about some of those actions. Again, the point is you're going to make your own. One last action, however, that I do want to suggest and kind of highlight here is I was working with a female veteran. I'm still working with her. A couple of weeks ago, we're talking about some suggested things that I wanted her to think about doing. And she's got a lot going on, family things. She had to go through another military training. She was in the Navy, and although she's out from active, she's still in the reserves, and she wanted to go for this training that's going to help promote her career. So she had to leave the state even during the pandemic, and we were still having our sessions virtually. And she was telling me about, you know, some of the feelings that she was having in her body, didn't know if her command officer was going to be a good person before she got there. And we had to talk through various processes to help her to recognize, okay, let's prepare for the worst, but let's anticipate that maybe that command officer is going to be okay. So we talked about what you would do to help him to recognize that you're not a newbie. You've been in the military for 7 years, so you're more mature than maybe the others at your rank, and all these various things. And during that session while she was away, we connected, and she said, Dr. Snyder, I want to let you know he's awesome. He's amazing. He's letting me, you know, kind of take the lead. He recognizes my maturity. He's not that micromanager that I thought he was. And imagine just a few weeks prior, it was creating anxiety. It was creating panic. It was creating this, I don't want to go. I'm not sure I want to do this. And it required her taking an action, or taking the mindset, excuse me, first of all, and recognizing that it might be far better than I'm anticipating. And so that's how it can play out and how it can be helpful. But one of the other things that I shared with her is I want you to set your alarm clock on your phone, set your alarm, and every day at the end of the day before you get ready to go to bed, the alarm's going to go off, and that's going to be your time to self-reflect and say, job well done. I did this well. I could have done differently this way, but this went well. So setting her alarm in order to help start triggering her to nurture herself, because she was really, you know, anxiety prone. And I wanted her to recognize you don't give yourself much credit. Look at all this stuff that you've achieved. Look at all this stuff that you've been through and that you've been able to accomplish, but you're not giving yourself any credit. So let's set an alarm where every day the alarm goes off, and this is your time to take 5 minutes to say, I've done well. I have taken a step towards my goal. I'm doing all right, and this is going to be okay. So that's one thing that I just had to emphasize as we get ready to move towards the end of this, this presentation and entertain questions and chats and comments. Last slide. So all of that to say that these steps are going to be for you, even as this webinar is coming to an end, or my part of the presentation is coming to an end. It's going to be for you to take some time to think about, how can I implement these 6 things? And if you're feeling a little uncertain, a little confused, or it seems like, again, you run into a situation, phone call comes in and it's not exciting news, you might need to cope. So that's that other tool, COPE, cleansing breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth, at least 3 times. O, observe your feelings and be specific. What's the information that your feelings are telling you? P, positive self-talk. Be like your own best friend. Your own best friend is not going to kick you in while you're down. They're going to support you, but they're going to be honest. E, explanation. And that's going to help you to make it make sense so that you're not so critical and so hard on yourself. So for women veterans, you might have to take care of the children. That might be the role in the household. I'm not suggesting that there are only traditional roles. There are not. But if that happens to be it, women, we tend to be more nurturing inherently, naturally. So we tend to not really take care of ourselves. So you might be taking care of the children, husband, grandma, granddad, mom, dad, doing all of that, going to the grocery store and shopping for everybody in the household, and then having to shop for grandma and granddad because you don't want them to have to go out in this environment, and you're not really being able to focus on your own self because you're taking care of the children, you're sitting down helping them with their schoolwork, and then you've got to do your own, and all of these other things that sometimes women find ourselves doing without thinking, I need to take some time so that I can prepare to read that chapter before the end of the week because I know I'm going to have a quiz. So those 6 areas of the human experience are there for you to rely on and think about on an ongoing basis, and COPE is something to help you to rely on, and recognizing that this is a step-by-step, day-by-day building of skills in order to help you to navigate this world of virtual distance learning and move you towards excelling. And lastly, as I end, not everybody is going to feel like this. You see all these happy faces on this virtual classroom, and it looks like that teacher is teaching physics or chemistry or something. I'm not sure, some of those hard sciences. You might not ever feel like, I'm loving this, I'm thrilled by this. But hopefully you've got some tools to help you to navigate, help you manage, help you again to reach out to that professor, to start that virtual study group, to do what's necessary, and to observe and watch and see how the progress is going for you personally so that you can continue to make those steps. That said, I hope that this has been helpful. I'd like to, at this time, turn it back over to Derek as we entertain questions or comments or anything whatsoever that you want to share that might be helpful. And I also want to offer that you can make contact, thank you, Derek, with me, my team, at any point in time if there's anything that we can do to help support you academically or your family or however. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time, and we'll entertain some questions, I guess. Derek.
Hi, so I'm looking at the chat, Dr. Skinner, and we don't have any that were directed to me. I know you said you saw a few pop up for you, but I don't have any that were directed to me.
Okay, okay. Well, if there aren't any questions, I want to say it's my pleasure. You're actually welcome, and God bless you as well, Jonas. So thank you for that. And again, if you want to reach out to me or my team, feel free to do so. And at this time, thank you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, and do well this semester.
Thank you, Dr. Snetter, so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Until next time.
Until next time.
All right, take care.
You too.
So Danielle, sounds like we don't have any questions that came through to the questions tab. So with that, if anybody is interested in following up at a later time, maybe you wanted to hold on to your question for somebody specifically, there is everyone's contact information again for the day. Feel free to call or email, and we'd be happy to go over anything that you'd like a little clarification on, or just wanted to talk to somebody directly. We are here for you. So with that, I believe that we'll conclude our presentation for today. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Armando, for that comment, for that chat. You're more than welcome. Glad that it was helpful.
Terrific. So with that, I think we will go ahead and conclude. Thank you all so much. Best of luck to you in your educational journey or your transition pathway, and we look forward to you guys joining us again in the future. Thanks again.